life. You mean everything to me. In a fix, in a bind, call on us anytime. We'll appear from nowhere, mighty are we. Audience, CUE, Rescue Aid Society. Honesty, loyalty, we pledge to thee.
Is everybody ready?
Hello.
Welcome back.
To Watch Along Pod.
This week we watched
The Rescuers.
Ooh.
Did you like it?
So I've never seen The Rescuers all the way through. I've seen clips and bits and pieces, but not a film I'd watched properly. I have mixed feelings and mixed review about this. Some things I enjoyed and liked. Others I was a bit like, okay, not the greatest or captivating. The soundtrack did not like at all. Like the way that they incorporated the music in certain places but didn't have it in others. I didn't like that whole style. I really there were moments where I thought, well, there should be sort of like some underscore here, and it was just silence, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it made it feel a little bit eerie, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So bits I liked, bits I didn't. What about you?
Well, I think I told you before that I used to really like this film.
You did?
I don't know why. Yeah, I didn't remember much of this watching it again. I must have seen it, but I just felt that it really didn't have a lot going for it. And it started strong because when the title cards were coming up, it looked as if all of the backgrounds and everything were painted on canvas, and it looked stunning. And I thought, oh, we're in for a treat.
See, I thought this is a long opening.
Yeah, they had a song playing, didn't they? So they just played that through. But when we got into the film, I just thought it was really messy, and a lot of that is because they were using their Xerox method, so the sketches were being used as the cells, but they were just doing no clean up or anything like that. And I've just thought, if it was pretty to look at, it might have been a bit more palatable. But
I also thought it was very dark subject matter for a children's film.
Well, it was, yeah.
I was like, she is a baby that has been stolen and nobody cares.
And put to work down the mines.
It was, I thought it was very dark. I would have been scared. If I'd watched this as a child, it would have given me nightmares. I would have been scared. Yeah,
well, I think a lot of why this was probably so dark is because of who was working on it. So this movie was intended to be a kind of passing of the torch from Disney's 9 old men, who were his team of animators. They were his go-to guys. They led on every film up until now. But they were all reaching retirement age, so they wanted this to be the first film for like the new generation. And Don Bluth was one of the lead animators on this. He'd worked on a couple of the last few films. He did like Pete's Dragon as well.
Oh, I love Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, it's good. But he is known for his films being a lot darker, a lot sadder. There's a lot of child endangerment. There's a lot of more scary things.
Okay.
So Don Bluth's really interesting to kind of follow his story, because he got fed up with the way things were going at Disney. One of the things that he didn't like is how a lot of the terror was kind of being taken away from the villains. Like, these are kids' films, guy. But yeah, he went on to make his own films. He did like The Land Before Time. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Have you seen The Secret of Nim?
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, you would hate that.
Okay, well, that's probably why I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's another mouse film, but the bad guys are owls, and they're like, the design is really disturbing. But those films are dark. They're really dark. And I didn't realise that when I was a kid, I was watching Disney stuff, but I was watching just as much of Don Bluth stuff at the same time. Yeah. And I kind of didn't realise, but they were rivals at one point, and Don Bluth was outperforming Disney films. But yeah, you can never keep the mouse down, I guess. They came fighting back eventually.
You wait till we hit those 90s.
Oh boy.
I think this does really show, this film, why we call this period the Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm.
Not, please, anyone who loves it, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a bad film, but I'm saying that I think that Disney lost a little bit of their footing and a little bit of their way, that they weren't, and maybe it was because they were trying to pass that torch over and see what the next generation and the next thing would be. And I think this is all a bit experimental, and they're not quite sure what their brand is, who they are, and I don't think they get that back until really they hit The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this film is nothing compared to The Dark Cauldron. You haven't seen that, have you?
No.
Is it The Black Cauldron?
Yeah, Black Cauldron,
Yeah. Yeah. You are not going to like that. That's scary.
And I think that's why these films in the Dark Ages I've never watched, because they're all... I don't enjoy that side of things. I never have. As a kid, I had a very vivid imagination, and I would get nightmares very easily. So that's probably why I didn't watch them, because I wouldn't have slept for a week, and probably Mum and Dad didn't want that. But
yeah, I take it you was never subjected to Watership Down at any point.
I know about Watership Down, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a kids' film at all. But that mistake was made by many a parent.
I hate anything that makes you jump or is scary or sinister, because I just have too much of an imagination. Even other than it being a bit terrifying at times, there were some shining moments.
Yeah.
I think some of the characters were well developed, and there were some really cute moments that I was like, this film could have been a lot better than it was. Like, I think they had a good baseline, but I just don't think it reached its full potential. I think they just lost it somewhere along the way, and that seems a shame.
Yeah. I like the idea that there's an organisation of mice that help people, like a little detective club. I thought that the romance between Bernard and Bianca was very cute.
It was. I like the way they did it. It wasn't too big a deal, but it was there and it was sweet. And...
yeah, he clearly likes her from the moment he sees her. You can tell. But
well, they all like her. They all want to work with her.
Well, yeah, true. But yeah, she clearly likes him right back. That's why she picked him.
She picked him. She knew, and I think that it's a nice to have, you know, relationship in that sense that, you know, she is the more dominant one. She's the one that's going, let's do it, let's go, not the damsel in distress as such. But they both end up at times being the damsel in distress. Help me! But I did find the whole film a weird concept, that mice are rescuing a child that nobody else cares about.
Yeah, no one else was looking for that kid.
I know.
The orphanage knew she was missing.
Yeah.
What did they do? Just put her box in a cupboard.
And do you know how sad I found the scene where she's talking about how nobody's ever going to want her? I was like, this is really deep, and I actually think could be a bit scarring for children, because I want to watch a Disney and walk away crying because I'm happy and it made me feel magical. This did not give me that.
Yeah. I felt that the plot was not really moving as fast as I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Until they arrived at what was the name of the
bayou?
The bayou, yeah, like Devil's.
The Devil's Bayou, yeah.
Yeah. And then it kind of took a bit of a Goonies turn. I think it's because it had the pirates and the treasure and stuff. But like there was a scene where they were inside the organ and the
that's funny.
Yeah, the Gators were playing it, And there's an organ in Goonies as
Yeah.
well. So maybe that's where I was drawing connections. But I just found that part of the film was really enjoyable and the rest of it was not.
And I feel like that part was also quite long. Like, I feel like they could have more could have happened for them to be in the bayou for so long. Because there were a bit points where I was a bit like, okay, let's get the ball rolling a little bit more here. Let's move on a tiny bit. I feel like the whole flying scene lasted way too long. I was like, like 2 seconds of that would have been fine. Like a few little nice little moments, but it was like a whole song. And I was like, and nobody's singing it. It's not like it's a song that's a moment.
Yeah, I think when the songs are kind of narrative and the characters are singing them, there's always things going on.
And it's driving the plot usually.
Yeah, or it's giving you some kind of exposition.
Yeah.
You know, you can see what the characters are feeling and thinking. But in this, it was just like, oh, a nice song to play while they fall in love and fly over the ocean. And it felt like we were flying that whole
Yeah.
journey with them. So the flying scene is quite controversial.
Ooh.
Children at home, cover your ears and your eyes because The Rescuers has an X-rated secret. Now, it's not in this version of the film. As soon as it was noticed, it was removed. However, in early releases of the film, including the cinema release, all the way up until its re-release in something like 1992, 1994,
Right.
on VHS, for 2 frames in the background of the flying scene is a photograph of a topless woman. And you see them, they're there.
How
But-
did they get away with it?
Well, it was just hidden in the background. It was like a joke by one of the animators. They weren't even a disgruntled employee. They were just
Is that like the Little Mermaid original front cover?
It kind of is. And Disney is so sort of notorious for having these hidden, dirty frames that no one would ever notice until the film was on VHS,
Yeah.
which is exactly what happened here. I can't really do it justice. There is a creator on YouTube called Eddache who has done a really, really good video essay covering this. He goes in depth. He finds out where the image is from and who put it in there and all sorts. So I'll put a link to Eddache's video in the description on our YouTube channel.
If you
go
want to
and
see
check.
some boobies.
Yeah, wow. It's YouTube. He wants to stay monetized, so you don't see them. But I'm sure with a little bit of internet know-how, you can find those boobies.
But we do need to talk about a character in this who is a bit evil.
Are we talking about Madame Medusa?
We are indeed. She is a very strange design. Like, she's just a very... Her face is so weird.
Yeah. The thing is, like, it's a really exaggerated caricature kind of
Yeah.
face. But I'm sure I've met people that look like that.
Yeah, it's like weird. But then all I kept thinking was, I feel like she's a cheap knockoff Cruella.
Well, fact fans, she was originally going to be Cruella, but they decided that they didn't want to make a sequel.
Right.
Ironically, The Rescuers is the first Disney movie to get a sequel.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow.
What weird prophecy is that?
What, like, because when does the second one come out?
It's only in a few films' time. No, it's not. It's after.
It's after
It's
Little
after
Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. It's in the Renaissance. I think it. Yeah, so it's like early 90s. But no, I did get a real feel of Cruella still with
the car,
the car.
everything.
Yeah, I've got that in my notes.
Yeah. It's just, I was just like, even Mum was watching it with me, and she went, "Is that Cruella?" I was like, "No." I was like, "But it just basically is."
So I thought she was like a cross between Cruella and Miss Hannigan.
Yeah, I can see that.
I something about the design of her was like the way that she moves, and like when she's waving her arms around, and she's got bingo wings, and they're like flapping around. It's like
It's a very, very horrible design for a woman. Bless her.
it's not very flattering.
I mean, she's a horrible person. I mean, when she takes her eyelashes off,
oh yeah.
I was like, ooh. Oh, but I
And
mean,
she's a redhead. I'm not saying that's bad.
I mean, yeah, to the orange side of red, like very orange, with a red dress, and what was the eyeshadow? It was like in a circle. Again, but that felt like they hadn't cared about her design as much. Like, there's a way to make somebody look crazy and horrible without, like, it was almost like she had black eyes rather than like, do you know what I mean? It didn't look like makeup at times. Some shots it did look better, but I don't know.
I thought that she was probably one of the best things about the film.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. In terms of, she's the reason for the film. She drove the plot in that sense.
And the car.
And the car. And her alligators,
Yes.
who I loved.
Their names were I've made a note of them. Brutus and Nero. So they were like Roman emperors.
I loved them because I felt they were like quite fun characters in terms of they sort of remind me of the eels that are going to be in Little Mermaid.
Flotsam and Jetsam is what I was going to say.
Flotsam.
Are we going to have an argument about?
It's Flotsam.
Okay. Sorry, miss.
It's not Flotsam.
Okay, sorry. Didn't realise you was going to be picking me up on my pronunciation of every word.
No, but when you say the name of a character wrong, of a show I'm going to be in, one of my own eels, my babies,
Okay.
that I named.
Okay, sure.
Flotsam and Jetsam. It's getting all upset now.
No. That's fine. Carry on.
No,
What was you saying?
They did remind me of them.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they've got that kind of menacing henchman sort of vibe. But
yeah, they're not really clever in terms of having their own thought processes. They just do what they're told, and because otherwise they would have eaten that kid.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like animals in these films, like in the Jungle Book, like that animal is acting instinctively.
Yeah.
Whereas human characters are evil, but these are slightly somewhere in the middle. They're not acting instinctively, but they're doing what they're told.
I guess they're sort of the same as the mice, though. They're sort of, this world we're living in is not animals are humans and not animals are animals. It's sort of like a mash. But
so
those gators definitely would have. Though they were. Are we sure they were alligators, not crocodiles?
Yes, because alligators' eyes poke out at the top of their heads, and crocodiles' eyes are sunk into their heads. Fact fans, that's how you tell.
Also, I think alligators are more in the US than crocodiles.
Yeah, probably. Although I'm not sure where crocodiles would be. Australia?
Crocodile Dundee.
Australia.
They have everything.
Yeah. So it'll be crocodiles in the next Rescuers film.
Oh yeah. Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah, I've got some real sort of ingrained memories, like burned into the back of my eyes from that film.
Well, let's hope you're not disappointed.
I really don't think I'm going to be disappointed
Okay,
with that
good.
one, but we'll see. We'll get there. Another character that I wanted to talk about, we've touched on him briefly, is Orville.
Yep.
Great character. I think the choice of an albatross to be the transportation, their air travel.
Well, they can fly for the longest without flapping their wings.
They can. They're also known for having really clumsy takeoffs. So I think that translated so well into this kind of slapstick comic relief character.
I don't think I would have known he was an albatross without them saying. Do you know what I mean?
I would have thought he was a seagull.
Yeah.
I probably did when I was a kid.
Yeah. I think I've seen the picture of them flying on him before, and I think I've always assumed it was a seagull. Because he's very seagull-esque.
Well, now you know.
And aren't albatrosses massive?
I've never met one.
Okay.
Do you know why he's named Orville?
No.
He's named after one of the Wright brothers.
Oh, okay. Obviously.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did like that there was like a whole nother mouse world. So they had everything that we have, but a mouse version. I wanted to see the mouse train. He kept saying, let's get the train. I wanted to see what the mouse train would have been.
Yeah. Do you think it would have been an animal? Because their airplane was an animal.
It was. I'm just trying to think what animal would be train-esque.
A centipede. It wouldn't be big enough. Or you don't you do get those big.
You could get ones. It could be multiple centipedes with matchboxes on top that they sit in.
Yes.
And the centipedes keep going round when the matchboxes goes to.
Disney, write this down. Did you like the character Evinrude?
The what's he called? Was he Dragonfly?
He was Dragonfly. Yeah.
Yes and no. The noise of him irritated the hell out of me, especially in the bits where it was just that noise, and I was like, "Ugh!" It really annoyed me. But him as a character, I thought he was a funny character, but the noise, it got to me. It got to my bones.
Well, the noise didn't annoy me. I quite liked it. I liked that was how he spoke and communicated and kind of showed his emotions and reactions. He reminded me of Zipper from Rescue Rangers. Just a long version with a moustache.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if the noise had been a little bit and then sort of lowered down a little bit so it wasn't screaming out at me, it just touched a nerve. You know, when a noise just... I'm not sure there's much more for us to say.
Not really.
I think we should look at ranking it.
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be interesting to see how we rank this, considering this was part of the Dark Ages, or the Bronze Age, if we're going to be polite.
The Dark Ages.
Actually performed quite well at the box office.
But we're not going by box office standards.
No, we're not.
We're going by our standards.
I just thought it was quite interesting that I learned this outperformed Star Wars in France. Star Wars!
Star Wars 1 or Star Wars 2?
Star Wars 1.
I mean, maybe they just didn't know that Star Wars was good at that point.
Well, look at it now.
Definitely outperforming it now.
So.
Right, here we go. The seagull himself. I mean, he really does look like a seagull.
Yeah, he's a white bird with a yellow beak.
Yeah. And a scarf.
Mm.
What a swish, dude. Right, so you hold that one. What are we thinking?
Low.
Lower than Alice.
Probably.
I would say the animation in Alice is better.
Yeah. It's because of the Xerox technique they were using. They weren't tidying up their art. They were rushing it out.
it does feel it definitely had that feeling of feeling rushed. I definitely felt that. Right, 63. We got Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, I would say, is better than this.
Yeah, me too. Then our next lowest is going to be this board.
Oh,
And I think it's going to go on this board, personally.
I think it's going to go on that board. I think it's going to go at 77.
Do you think so?
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I think I'd probably prefer to watch Ichabod.
Really?
Well, I just love his shovels for feet.
It's definitely more entertaining. Well,
What do you think?
I'm not going to argue with you because I don't care.
I just think, as much as, Ichabod wasn't great, I think we enjoyed it more than we enjoyed this film.
Mm,
I think we laughed more in Ichabod with him eating all that food
yeah.
and all the funness that was in it.
Yeah, I mean, it had the songs. We're
Yeah.
not even talking about Mr. Toad.
And that was good as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're right. 80.
sorry, Rescuers fans.
The Rescuers is at 80.
Can you believe it's lower than Winnie the Pooh? I didn't think that was going to happen.
Well, Pooh sometimes surprises you.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you've got IBS. And that's the end of that.
Yeah. So, next week, we've got a bit of a bad movie.
I don't want to watch it.
I don't want to watch it. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it because I know that it's meant to be so horrifically sad. And I just don't want to bring that into my life.
It's another one of those 70s and 80s traumatic children's movies that everyone hates. They hate to love it.
We will not have an episode next Friday. It will be the following Friday because I'm going to need that long to recover from watching the film. It's too dramatic.
And if you haven't guessed already what the film is, it's The Fox and the Hound.
The Fox and the Hound. I'm either going to be really devastated or I'm going to watch it and go, what is everybody talking about?
Yeah, you could be right.
But I sort of know why it's sad and I'm thinking I'm going to be devastated.
Yeah. I mean, it's a movie that I only know very little about.
Mm.
But the thing that I know is like the main plot point of the film. So
I can't cope with it. I just can't.
Whew.
Anyway.
We will see you after that film and after our counselling session.
I'm not ready, guys. Can we just get to Little Mermaid?
Not long to go.
I know.
You know how many films we've got until Little Mermaid?
Like about 4?
4.
Yeah.
That's not long. That's a month away.
I know. I am praying to get there. Because this week I went to see Alan Menken himself in concert. Honestly, one of the people on my list that I've always wanted to see. He is phenomenal. And all of his films will be in my top 10. Because he doesn't produce a bad Disney film. He just produces hit after hit after hit. And they are icons of Disney. Everybody in the room, as soon as he played the first 2 notes, knew what it was. They're so iconic and so magical. And he is brilliant.
So yeah, when we get to The Little Mermaid, you're not going to shut up about him, are you?
I'm probably just not going to shut up about all of it, to be honest.
You're just not going to shut up.
Because once we get to hit The Little Mermaid, even, to be fair, Oliver and Company, once we hit that, I'm pretty much in my element, and Nick may just not even have to be here for the filming.
I'll just leave you to it.
No, you want to be here for The Lion King.
I want to be here for many of them.
Yeah, They are my Disney.
People have been making comments saying they've been enjoying Watch Along Pod so far.
Well, I hope they have.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait until we get to the Renaissance. Those are our favourite films. They were the ones we watched when we were kids. We have got the strongest connections.
Emotions.
There's emotions. There's going to be opinions. We'll laugh. We'll cry. We'll probably fall out over something.
Yeah, because Nick will be wrong. If he disagrees with me, he is wrong.
Well, yeah. And if I argue,
I may need more wild cards than one.
I'm not going to be able to get a word in.
Oh, look, I'm very passionate about these films because I just have such a deep love for them. And they take me to a place of being a child, of being innocent and just enjoy and love and all of those things. And I just don't like when people, you know, diss them and are like, oh, I hate Disney adults. Nah, 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 nah. Well, screw you, because I freaking love it.
Everyone has to have a hobby, and you shouldn't yuck someone else's yum.
But that's all for tonight, folks.
We are going to go, and
I've got to go do shopping.
I've just got to go to bed. I'm tired.
So,
until next time, remember, you're never too old to be
young.
young. I remembered it this time.
Yay!
Yay! See you later, everyone. Bye.
Ta-ra!
Is everybody ready?